I am actually hyped for Matt Nagy to run his offense finally. And if you've noticed, we've started becoming the Legion of Zoom, and literally every player on the Bears is like a freaking track star. Like it's our slowest guy is David Montgomery, and David Montgomery is like he's slower for a running back, but he's not that slow. Like, and that's incredible. Like, I can't wait for that to happen. I mean, freaking, we have Godwin who ran a 4.27. We have Bird who ran a 4.28. We have Mooney who ran a 4.38. We have uh Miller who ran a 4.38. I think Robinson ran like a 4.4,
Yeah, he's the
and then I think
slowest by far, which is crazy.
or 4.5 or something like that. Yeah. And then Montgomery ran like a 4.6, and then Tariq Cohen ran like a 4.4. And I was like, this is incredible. I was like, I'm all for Matt Nagy finally running his offense. And that's what it is. That's why he got Godwin. That's why he got Bird. That's why he has like that's why, we drafted Mooney. Like this is our offense. This is the offense he's been wanting to run for the longest time. He just can't because he had Mitch Trubisky as his quarterback. So like I'm excited to what it looks like in person. Um, ooh, you know what's funny is I would be interested because, and I've seen your tweets about Jordan Hicks too. I feel like Jordan Hicks would be an upgrade over Trevathan, so I would be down for that. Maybe you could just swap. You could take Trevathan off of us. We'll take Hicks. A little bit of an upgrade for us, downgrade for you, but we figure it out. Um,
Yeah.
we'll give you like a
Good
future
trade.
six. Exactly. Uh, but anyways, yeah, no, I'm excited for Matt Nagy to finally, yeah, you're probably not getting a third or a fourth in that. So probably, probably more like a fifth or a sixth, future fifth or sixth in that deal. But anyways, yeah, so I'm excited for Matt Nagy to finally run his offense. I'm excited for there to finally be speedsters, and then also for Matt Nagy to get a quarterback that can actually run it effectively. It's gonna be great. I'm excited. That's another thing I'm super excited about for the Bears.
I think we also talk about how Nagy's going on a media blitz ever since they drafted Justin Fields. Like I literally was looking up Twitter if you heard that in the background video auto played, but I think he jumped on like another interview on NFL Network. Like he's been literally on every network, like everywhere. Like, hey, did you know we got Justin Fields? Like, please don't fire me. We got
Well,
Justin Fields. It's so cool, man.
Well, to be honest, like I'm at a point now as a Bears fan with everything that's happened. Now that I've sat back and everything's happened, I am at a point now where I'm okay with Matt Nagy being here for another year or two.
Yeah.
At least 2 years. I'm fine with him being for 2 years. Um, just to develop the offense and develop Fields. I think he can. At least, it's to be seen, obviously. He should have there were some things obviously that he should have done. He should have used Trubisky better. He should have tried to not force Trubisky for 4 years to be a freaking pocket passer. He should utilize players correctly in the way that they should be utilized. For example, not running Tariq Cohen up the freaking middle for, majority of Tariq Cohen's time, and then also, moving Cordell Patterson as like a wide receiver out, that type of stuff doesn't work. That's what should have been, fixed in his offense a long time ago and needs to. Now, if that stuff is improved, I think Matt Nagy should get at least 2 years to develop. And then after 2 years, if he hasn't succeeded, kick him out, get a new coach in there that can make Justin Fields successful in the offense. Obviously, this is a 3-year projection, so we'll just have to see how it plays out. But I'm Pace is the one that's on the hot seat for me. Like if anybody's getting fired this next offseason, if the season doesn't go spectacularly well, it's Pace because Pace is the one that's been there longer. He's the one that's had this. He's the one that drafted Trubisky and traded up for him. It was his guy. It wasn't Matt Nagy's guy. If you go watch Matt Nagy's scouting of all three quarterbacks, Matt Nagy had Trubisky number 3 on his list, behind Deshaun Watson at 2 and Mahomes at 1. So obviously Matt Nagy thought he was a good quarterback, but didn't think he was good enough to be number 2 overall. So right off the bat, the fact that Matt Nagy, evaluated the quarterbacks this year and decided Justin Fields was his guy, and then when Justin Fields started falling, he, obviously they jumped on the opportunity and took him. So that's where I'm at with them. As I just want to see how this goes for the next 2 years. I think Matt Nagy should get 2 years. Pace is the one though that I think he should be on the hot seat. He should almost be like a guarantee fire next year, unless the season, like unless we make the playoffs and win a playoff game, he should just be fired next year.
That seems fair at this point. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
tired of making the playoffs at like 8-8 and losing in the first game. Like we've run that back, quite a few times in our entirety of being Bears fans. Let's just, finally either go for it or don't. And if we don't, and you suck again for the eighth year in a row, then whatever, we got to get out of it. You got to get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, like I said, yeah, I'm more okay with Nagy staying a little bit longer now, even despite some of the things that seemed unforgivable during the season. But
yeah.
we're just gonna pretend it could totally you could totally run it back, and I mean they're gonna get a lot of freebies, right, from COVID and everything. Like Eddie Goldman coming back is huge.
Oh yeah, that's massive
I
because
think
we
we
couldn't
also
stop a run to save our lives.
yeah, and that's gonna have a huge impact everywhere. Obviously, there's other cuts to make up for that, like Kyle Fuller being gone and whatever else. But um, I don't know. It's a pretty good situation to be in. I feel like there's only a couple areas that can really move players around, but otherwise, there's no room to move, which is a good and bad thing at the same time because it forces you to work with what you have. But yeah, and
Well,
I'd be fine with him coming back for a little while longer. There were parts of the season where they should have fallen apart and the team should have given up, and they never did, which was probably the most important thing.
yeah, and the other thing too is when you're talking about moving parts and everything and people coming back and we got to do with what we have. What we have is obviously a lot better than most teams. I mean, you have Khalil Mack as a premier pass rusher. Robert Quinn with his whole injury thing that came out and all that news. Maybe Robert Quinn's back to at least somewhat of his old self this year and produces enough to be, reasonable starter, which would help obviously Mack on the other side. You got Akeem Hicks come back healthy. Then you have Eddie Goldman coming back healthy, who we couldn't stop the run to save our lives the moment Akeem Hicks went out, and that's because nobody like we lost. Those are our two best run stoppers. Is we have Eddie Goldman, who's a fantastic nose tackle, who's run stopper, and then you have Akeem Hicks, who's a good pass rusher, but he's also a great run stopper.
Yeah.
Both those players being out, obviously we couldn't stop the run to save our lives. That's what happened. So getting both those players back healthy, Bilal Nichols can finally kick out from nose tackle and become just a regular defensive tackle, which is what he should be. In a 3-4 defensive end scheme, he should be a 3-4 defensive end, not a nose tackle. So him last year having a down year, it's I whatever I chalk it up to, listen buddy, we tried to force you into a situation and a position that you shouldn't have been in, so this year you can finally go back to where you should be, which is where you were producing and developing well. And then you at linebacker, you have obviously, like I said, you have Roquan Smith, who's playing at an all pro level. You have Trevathan when he's healthy, is there. You brought back Christian Jones, who can contribute, at least as far as depth goes, and with Trevathan's injury status and all that, I feel comfortable with Christian Jones stepping in. And then you also brought in Atoa or Atochoa or whatever his name is, Jeremiah from the Broncos. He'll be a good depth pass rusher. Same with Travis Gibson getting finally some playing time and developing a little bit better this year too as the depth pass rusher. Then you go to the secondary. Yeah, Trufont's a downgrade over Kyle Fuller, but it's one of those where you have Jalen Johnson who's still growing. They think Vildor and Shelley can split time at slot, and both one of those two will develop into a good slot corner, which I think they could. And then you have obviously Eddie Jackson who can play. If he goes back to the old Eddie Jackson, or is at least a little bit more like the old Eddie Jackson, more so than he was last year, then that's obviously an improvement right there. And let alone he's still, obviously a great safety in this league. And then obviously bringing back Tayshaun Gibson, who knows the defense now and has had a year of working with everybody inside that defense. And then you also have Desai coming up as a new defensive coordinator, who a lot of people think was, he was going to get a defensive coordinator job soon because he was an up and coming, special or position specialist. So finally, with all that, to me, makes 100% sense, for him to come in and take over that defense. And then at offense, you have, Allen Robinson, who should be a top 5 wide receiver. It just he doesn't have that stats and everything that go with it because he hasn't had a good quarterback to throw to him. Darnell Mooney is developing. He's got another year under his belt of getting in the weight room, perfecting his route running ability, things like that, getting the offense. Then you obviously are bringing in, speedsters, like I said, like Godwin, Bird. You have Miller, who will now be a depth wide receiver rather than a vital part of your offense, which is good. And then you have, hopefully guys like Riley Ridley and stuff, developing a little bit or finally getting some playing time over, the guys that decide to punch like the same dude. Um, and then you get Cole Kmet, another year of Cole Kmet development.
Which, sorry, I was muted. I saw something that came up that he played with Justin Fields for like, what was it, 1 year before he transferred? I think Riley Ridley. There was like a touchdown pass thrown to
Yeah,
him,
in
and
Georgia.
okay, yeah, I
Yes.
didn't know that. That was cool.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of that connection, and then obviously you have Cole Kmet, another year of developing and everything like that, and he started looking good at towards the end of the season. It's just he needed to actually get snaps and develop. So you have that coming in. Then you get Tariq Cohen back, which is huge because if Matt Nagy's finally going to run his offense the way he wants to run it, then obviously Cohen's going to be a big part of that as far as hopefully being in the slot more, as well as a good outside threat as far as the running back goes. Then you have Montgomery, who's of course Montgomery, and it's going to be good nonetheless. So you have all the pieces there that are right for the picking to have a good team. It's just last year you didn't have a quarterback, so then your defense is pissed off because they're spending half the game. You're 70% of the game on the field rather than the way that it should be, which is that your offense is picking up their slack on days when they're down, or their offense is at least contributing enough to where the defense isn't out there every freaking, drive because you go 3 and out.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the balance that'll happen. You'll see guys get excited on defense because they'll actually have a quarterback that they believe in, once Justin Fields takes over and starts, performing like he should. So that's, all those things make me excited about the team. Whereas, and that's the thing, that's what getting a quarterback does for you. Getting a quarterback means that I can be excited about the team because all of these things become important now that you actually have a quarterback that you believe can become a franchise guy.